Welcome back. We're here to preview Saturday afternoon's Premier League clash between Crystal Palace and Everton at Selhurst Park. Pascal, starting with the home side, in excellent run of form.
Yeah, obviously under Alan Pardew, it's now 4 wins in a row for them in all competitions, 2 in the FA Cup, 2 in the Premier League. He has done a fantastic job. Obviously, he's getting the most out of his players at the moment. We'll talk about the strikers in a second, but you look at players like Jason Punch, and especially he impressed me. Obviously, he scored 2 games in a row for them not long ago, and he's doing really well for them. The strikers are firing as well. And obviously, Palace fans, they do love Pardew. He's an ex-player of theirs, and I think they were quite impressed they were able to get him from Newcastle. Obviously, everyone talks about the 8-year contract that Pardew had there, and they probably did pay quite a fair whack to prize him away from St James's Park. But at the moment, it's looking like a great appointment. They're climbing the table, and obviously they've pulled themselves away from the bottom 3, so it's all looking really rosy for Palace at the moment.
It certainly is. It says a lot about confidence, doesn't it? I think Neil Warnock, when he was there, he was on about his strikers, and he couldn't get them to fire, and he really wanted to bring a new one in. But Pardew's come in and can't stop scoring at the minute. Dwight Gale's in great form. He's always been a great finisher, isn't he? But you get the feeling that he needs a bit of confidence, and I think Pardew's given that to him. Shamak and Sanogo coming from Arsenal, they both scored in the Cup, and up front Fraser Campbell's in there doing bits and bobs. So they're up front, and suddenly they've got 4 strikers who can score goals, and I think that was their problem early on the season. They didn't score enough goals, and I think talking about Wilfried Zaha as well, maybe turning his loan move from Manchester United into a permanent one as well. That gives them more firepower. Look at Balassi, and they've got options in wide areas, and Suddenly, looking at Palace now, under Warnock, you think they might go down, but you can't really see that now, can you? And they're in a great run of form.
I think this is a big game in the bottom half. Obviously, I think Palace and Everton, they both start this game on 23 points, and obviously a win here for Palace takes them above Everton. And a month ago, Everton were sort of struggling a bit, but they've obviously been on a bad run of form. I think they're without a win in 6 now. So I think if a month ago, if you'd have said Palace could go above Everton in January, most people would have thought, how's that possible? But the Pardew effect, obviously Everton's still really struggling. So I think it's a big game in the bottom, definitely.
Yeah, moving on to Everton. Last time out, obviously they drew 0-0 at home to West Brom, and they've had a 2-week break from the FA Cup, so they'll be revitalised. But last time against West Brom was so disappointing, wasn't it? At home, in front of it was a Monday night game, so they obviously had the crowd, and the main incident from that game was the penalty incident. I'm not sure what you thought about it, but Morales had been in good form, and he played well against West Ham, didn't he, in the Cup? He came on and changed that game. But I think if your penalty taker is Leighton Baines, you have to let him take it, don't you? I mean, he's only missed one in the league. That was at Manchester United early on this season. So Morales obviously put that wide, and he came off at half time as well, didn't he? I think it was an injury, but it didn't help the situation. And Lukaku has had his problems this season. They couldn't find the back of the net. West Brom under Pulis, obviously, they're a more solid team. But to draw 0-0 at home, and the crowd, it was an anti-climax. The crowd go home sort of wondering what might have been. And it's been a really poor season if you look at it. Not even disappointing, really poor.
It has been. You compare it to last season, there's not been that many changes, is there? It's basically the same team. There's been upgrades as well. I've been quite impressed by Besic in the last few weeks. He's looked really good in there. But yeah, Everton, it is astonishing how badly they've done. I mean, for the penalty incident for me, I think Baines obviously should have taken it. Everyone's used the stat. I think he scored 15 out of 16 penalties in the Premier League. Obviously, I think he missed the last one before that, like you said, against Man U. But he should have taken it, and it could have been a completely different game. But Everton, I think it's a huge month for them coming up. There's very little chance, unless they go on a fabulous run in the last sort of 3 months of the season, that they can get even a European spot, 6th or 7th in the table. So it's a massive month for them coming up, because I think they have the Merseyside derby next weekend. Then they go to Chelsea the week after that in the Premier League. So they're both really tough games. Their Merseyside derby record in recent years is not good. Obviously, they drew the reverse, Phil Jagielka, with that amazing goal of late on. But then they have their Europa League game against Young Boys, 2-legged tie. It was a good draw for them to get Young Boys. There's a lot of good teams in that Europa League draw. They obviously got one of the sort of weaker teams, and the Europa League offers them their only chance of any success this season, really. Obviously, going out of the Cup to West Ham on penalties, that was a big blow for them, because since then, all the teams that have gone out since then, City, Chelsea, Spurs, they're all out. Liverpool, Man U, they're not through either. So if Everton had gone through there, they might have had a chance in the FA Cup. So the season really is unravelling, really badly for them. So the Europa League is huge for them. So that tie coming up, and the 2 Premier League fixtures, it's a massive, massive month for them.
You mentioned the massive run. I mean, people talk about teams too good to go down, but if you're looking at those 2 games, they don't win this game, win the next 2. You're looking on 25, 26 games, and they could be in the bottom 3, and that's only 10, 12 games left. So they're not, maybe you probably say they're too good to go down, but you never know the rest of the season. They haven't done too much in the transfer market. So it's obviously Samuel Eto'o has gone to Sampdoria. He had his problems, didn't he? And moving on to obviously Crystal Palace as well. They're looking at Jordan Much, aren't they, from QPR, trying to get him in, and mentioned Zaha. So I'd be interested to see whether they do get any players in for this game, but even so, it should be a very interesting one. What's your prediction for this one?
Yeah, I think it should be a really good game. Obviously, Palace, they might even start this game as favourites. I think Everton, obviously, there is quality there, even though we've been waiting for it to sort of blossom all season. It never quite happened, but I think it's a tough game to call. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. I'm actually going to back Crystal Palace. I think the Pardew effect will continue, and they've been in really good form, so I'm actually going to back 2-1. So we've got a score draw and a 2-1 win for Palace. Thanks for joining us.